Hi, I'm Richie Mackay.
And I'm Davey Bolt, and you are listening to the Wrong Bias Podcast. And on today's show, we've got Kevin and Scott from SK21. They've just set up a new bespoke bowls clothing business up in Scotland, so we've got them on just to talk about the new clothing range and how they got into the business. We've also got Tom Warner, who drops in with some info on the Bournemouth Open that's happening later on in the season. We've got our usual World of Sports section that appears for another week. And we have some general bowls chat as well. And just to top it off, we've also got our competition that is supported and sponsored by our current sponsors, Bowls is Bowls and Lee Succeed.
Right, mate, here we are again, show number 31, and our anniversary apparently is travel and tourism, which seems quite apt because we can't go anywhere abroad.
I was just thinking that it's nice to be back. Actually, it's been a few weeks, hasn't it? 3 or 4 weeks again.
It has been. It seems a long time since the last one, since we done with Katie and the Bowls Fit.
Was there a lot of change happened since then, hasn't there?
Yep. I've had 3 roll-ups on the green.
3 more than I've had.
That doesn't surprise us. But you can tell we're back to normal because it's freezing. Typical Bowls weather. The weather turns when we go outdoors.
It's weird, isn't it? We always seem to get that nice spell of weather at sort of end of March, early April, and then you get back on the greens and it's like, it's Arctic.
Arctic, I don't know whether you've seen the Man City game in the Champions League. I thought they were playing abroad when I first put it on with the snow on the pitch.
There was one of the guys had posted a picture of their bowling green today and it was just covered in hailstones. It was white. Just unbelievable.
No enjoyment. Well, I'll be in lockdown. Come back, lockdown.
But on the plus side, it's been really nice to see a lot of clubs getting back out there, and the second lockdown's actually been a huge benefit to the sport, because I think if we'd come back after that first lockdown, I think so many people had found a new life, found new things to do. But then when the second lockdown hit, I think it's been a different sort of thought process. I think people have missed what they've done before because we've had that long period of time, I think, and I think it's actually brought a lot of people back to the clubs. I don't know.
The thing that I've probably missed is the crack with the lads. I think that's what I've missed, and it's been nice to see a few of the lads back at the club.
I think there was definitely a lot of thought on the fact that after that first lockdown, it was going to be really, really hard, and it was going to be a tough job to get your existing members back, never mind recruit new ones. Looking at what's happening, I think it's maybe not been as big a hit as what potentially thought, which is a good thing. Really good.
And a couple of changes at Bowls England, mate. New head of communications, Mr. Rob Short, and a new marketing officer, Katie Shillerday.
There certainly seems to be a movement on the commercial side of things within the governing body. I think they've lost 2, haven't they? They've lost Jamie, and I'm sure I saw they'd lost somebody else as well. So
John Hughes retired, I think.
John, yeah, that's right. So changes. Shame to see Jamie sort of not involved there anymore. I don't think you can't buy his sort of experience and position in the game. But obviously he's moved on to pastures new. So wish Jamie all the best. And time will tell with regards to the new appointments. And let's again just see what the changes of personnel bring to the overall scheme of things for the sport.
And we'll give another mention to the big weekend, back end of May, apparently, from the Bowls England website. 1,000 individuals signed up for it, and up to 450 clubs within the first week. So
there's still time for clubs if they're thinking about hosting their open day over that weekend. There's still time for them to go on and register, and there are resources available for them to be able to tap into for that event.
Another piece of news regarding the England Commonwealth Games squad. Robert Paxman stepped away for family reasons. It'd be a bit of a disappointment for the lad.
Paxman, isn't that him who used to be on the...
Sorry. Hold on. Cue start again.
No, you can leave that one in, since you always leave some. So, yeah, that guy Paxman he used to be
Robert Paxton. God.
Question time or something like that.
Yeah, but it'll be a disappointment for the lad.
Yeah, I don't know a great deal about it. I only heard about it recently myself. Big decision to to make, obviously, being part of the squad and then stepping out of it. It's not the same as obviously just not being picked for the squad.
Yeah. The old saying goes, one door closes, another door opens for somebody else, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, they've got a good solid squad there. So I'm sure whoever steps into the space will do a great job, and a huge opportunity for the team on home soil at Leamington next year.
And now we catch up with the two lads from SK21.
Right, and on the show today we have Kevin and Scott from SK21. Welcome to the show, lads. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
We're going to talk a little bit about the business a little bit later in the show. But just to start off with, I thought it would be nice just to... Do you want to just give us a little bit of a background about basically your bowls career? When did you start, and how did it come about? Why did you start as much as anything else?
I'll go first. So my background in bowls was I was fortunate to live behind a bowling club in a village in Scotland. As I grew up, I would see people playing bowls by watching, and at 10, 11, went over the club, spoke to people, got involved, and at that point then they actually weren't allowing any junior members, or they had very, very few. Luckily, they started to change that. More junior members, so for about the ages 11 and 12, started playing bowls. Went up through the ranks pretty quickly in the club, done pretty well as a junior, got into the seniors at the adults, at a very young age. I just remember playing bowls from a young age, really enjoying it, loads of tournaments for kids. And sadly, as I've grown up over the years, that's kind of disappeared from what I've seen. I remember growing up and playing tournaments that were called Clydesdale tournaments, Lanarkshire tournaments, Scottish tournaments, and I don't see that for juniors anymore. As an adult, continued playing bowls due to work commitments. I don't really play at a county level, as you would say, but that's one of these choices I had to make because work comes first, sadly. So that's me, Kev.
I'm a wee bit different from Scott. I didn't start playing bowls till a lot later on. I'm 30 just now, but I never started playing till I was about 24-ish. I had a career in football before that, so I used to play professional, semi-professional for a long time, and then I get two bad knee injuries to unfortunately stop playing football. So that led me, my two grandas, my dad, my little brother all played bowls, so that made me go into bowls, give it a try, and luckily I turned out not too bad at it.
I've done it.
End up playing for Glasgow under 25s quite quickly, and then I ended up playing for Glasgow senior team as well quite quickly as well, so it was quite good. I've just enjoyed it ever since.
And it just mirrors that, Kev. I mean, there's something else I want to touch on which Scott talked about there. It just mirrors what we always talk about. There's a huge market there of people coming out of football and tennis and cricket to come across the ball. It's a shame in a lot of respects. We've managed to get you earlier because of the injuries, unfortunately, that you've suffered. But did you have a perception? We always talk about this. Did you have a perception about bowls while you were playing football?
I did, mate, yeah, to be honest. I knew my dad and my granddad and that played, but my view of it before I went into bowls was always, as everybody's view I would imagine, as it's an old guy's sport. I'm not interested, I'm not playing that. And then obviously my dad kind of taught me around a bit and said, look, you need to try and do something. I'm quite a competitive person as well.
How quick did that change, Kev? How quick did it take you from playing football and then you step onto the bowling green? Within what period of time did you say, I love this?
I would say maybe between 3 to 6 months or something like that, because I started to play with my dad, go up, and I was in our club at the time, which is still the same now. There's quite a few younger guys in the club, so I kind of got friendly with them and ended up being good pals with a lot of them now still. And obviously through that I managed to play with the Glasgow under 25 team, and that just encouraged me more and more and more.
So we know obviously bowls is not as rough and tumble as football. We're obviously, from a competitive point of view, does it sort of satisfy your competitive needs as a sport?
It does, yeah. It's completely different. Obviously, as you say, it's not like rough and tumble and like that, but it's a different type of competitiveness as well, because obviously I've always been part of a team before. I've never had been singles or doubles or anything like that. So it's a different type of competitiveness, but I've grown to try and learn how to change it into enjoying it more, and it's been really good, to be honest.
And obviously listening to you both, I was just going to touch back on what Scott was talking about earlier on, because we always look at Scotland and we see it as quite a hive of younger players, and we still sort of do. You get up there and there's a lot of younger players, but obviously from your own point of view, Scott, that's reduced a lot.
Yeah, I think for a young person's point of view, you maybe see some teenagers, late teenagers, some 16, 17-year-olds. I'm still seeing a few of them coming through and playing league games, but I would like to see a lot of younger ones back in the sport, maybe your your 8, 9, 10s, 11, any age, to be honest with you, just getting back into it, because it's, as you say, it's one of these sports people look at and go, it's an old man's game, when I'll guarantee you, I, from 11 years old, 12 years old, absolutely loved it. Friday nights, Saturday nights, in the bowling club playing bowls, not just playing the sport, but getting to meet people, all different backgrounds, all different ages. Massive respect for the older generation, but I definitely think we need to kind of encourage more and more youngsters to get back into the bowls.
I'm putting two and two together, and I'm thinking that the two of you boys have maybe sat down at some point and had a chat and discussed, obviously, the time when you've played, Scott, and, you know, coming up when there was a lot of younger players. You've come into the sport, Kevin. Is this where SK21 came?
I think, yeah, 2 years ago, we had a discussion about sport and where we saw it going. We play in a club which is a well-respected club, very, not strict in their rules, but they still have rules as a bowling club, which some do, and it's grey trousers, collared shirt, and that's fine, but still young, still like to have young people's, not clothing, but that look of a young person. I don't want to go and put on old grey trousers that are not made to have material that I like, or a t-shirt that's plain and white with a collar. So it kind of came for that. I just want to see, you see it abroad, you see it in Australia and New Zealand, you see it that side of the world where colour is a big thing. Even in England, you see a lot of teams now going to full colour clothing. I think we're stuck up here. You don't see it that much. So I would discuss it a couple of years ago.
There's even a big thing up here as well, where even the likes of, I know other clubs up here as well have the same problem with the full issue wearing shorts on the green. It took me, I was the one that was kind of pushing it into a club, and it must have took me 3 seasons to get it put through an AGM. It's just, everything seems to be, as we say, with respect to all older people and everything like that, but I think it's time maybe the sport moved on a wee bit as well and try and modernise itself a wee bit, and that's where the idea kind of came from.
Yeah, and you're not alone in your area. I mean, it's you know, I don't think it's as bad here now, but it took a while for the shorts to hit, Richie, didn't it? You know, there was still hums and ahs, and there's, you know, we always say we respect the fact there's got to be rules in the sport, but you've got to move with the times with those rules. Otherwise, that white top and those grey trousers are just what anybody walking through a park or in a club are going to expect to see, and that's, you know, that's where they associate it with it. Whereas people have said before, does coloured clothing and does the difference in clothing make a big difference? Me personally, absolutely. I think it's a massive thing, because as we always talk about, the perception bit by bit and small little steps have been taken by everybody across probably the British Isles to try and kill that perception of it's not, you know, it's not just for the older generation. And, you know, and walking and seeing people playing bowls in casual clothes in different colours is probably not what people expect, and it might just start to change their thoughts on, is it, you know, is it as bad as what we thought it was? You know, with regards your new clothing that you've brought out, have you found that you've had a good response to the coloured clothing that you've produced?
Yeah, and initially the response has been really good. We've only been doing it for about a week and a half,
2 weeks almost.
2 weeks, and the initial response from roundabout clubs all over Glasgow basically has been really good so far. There's a lot of people commenting on it, saying it's brilliant, it's really different, it's out there compared to what's available just now. I've also had people down in England as well. I've sent some stuff down south to them as well, and they're really impressed with it as well, and they said every comment I've had so far has been positive, so hopefully it continues that way as well.
Every little change in the sport, people will seem to twist about it, but once it's there and it's in people's faces, there's a lot of people who moaned about it at first, who then are one of the first ones to actually make that change and buy the different coloured tops. And
the dirty word that you'd probably come across it too is it'll be changed. There's a section of a bowls club that are white and greys, and they'll not move. But I think the coloured shirts and everything, competitive side has to come in. It is coming in. I think what he's doing, it's great.
And the frustrating part is that, you know, in England, really being pushed now for clothing and branded clothing, and, you know, they've now just relaxed the fact that it doesn't have to be Bowls England shorts, that you can wear any shorts. So everything's relaxing on a yearly basis now. But the crux of the matter is it's still the local areas that are restricted a lot of the movement, because all they do is chuck in, it's a local rule. And if, you know, that is the way it's going to be. Why the local rules have got to be completely different to what's happening across the country is the one barrier that for me is halting this sport all of the time. It's not progressing it, because there's just too many individual rules left, right and centre. Are you getting a lot of support from your national governing body? And has any of the clubs maybe who have been a little bit stuck in the ways in the past, have they sort of bitten the bullet and are making those changes?
I think from the national body side, I think if a company side of viewing a business will maybe recognise that they have a sports clothing company they use, and we don't really think that we want to approach them as yet, and we'll let them continue their relationship with their own brand. But definitely for other clubs, we have had clubs approaches. We've only put out a number of designs, maybe 3-4 different designs, and already we're seeing people approaching us saying, oh, could we add our club badge to that? So that's definitely a positive. I like what you just said there about it seems to just be, oh, it's a local rule. There's currently a rule that we live by up here in the bowls world, that if you've got a team, say 4 rinks out playing a tournament, if one of the rink is wearing t-shirt, then all rinks have to wear a t-shirt. If one team's wearing a shirt, they all have to wear shirts. Well, sadly, that's not always going to be the case. I mean, you also need to look at finances. Some people might not have the finances to go out and buy umpteen different parts of clothing for a club. So we need to respect rules, but also be aware of personal circumstances. And I think that's why we've raised this ourselves with our own brand. And pricing is a big thing for us as well. Keeping it as low as we can to be competitive, but also approachable as a business. So I think there's loads of different scope for what we're trying to do. But yeah, rules are change, and rules are the 2 words that I might want to add into this topic.
You know, there's certain levels within the sport where you can fully appreciate, you know, if you're talking about county level, you can fully appreciate that there has got to be a strict thing with regards to team wear. Everybody should be wearing the same thing on the green. That's the choice any bowler makes, because, you know, if you want to play for the county, then you've got to maybe just purchase those extra bits and pieces to be able to do that. International levels are given. We've seen for many years now the international kits just, you know, completely change, and it's, you know, driven the new sort of colours in a lot of respects. But then when you get back down to that local level, at team level, is it that much of an issue that a player comes along and maybe hasn't got the same kit as that? Surely the priority for club level and for that, you know, that base level is we just want as many people on the green playing balls as what we possibly can. There should be no barriers, should be no restrictions, and let's just introduce people to the sport. Once they get to a stage where they feel as if they want to make that progression, then great. If a club wants to put their own little rule in that they say that if we've got a team kit, then we want everybody to wear that team kit, then, you know, that's their club choice. But apart from that, for me, we should just be letting anybody come on the green and play for a club, play for whatever it is, and, you know, within reason, they should be allowed to wear exactly what they want.
Well said.
Exactly.
I mean, that rule that you mentioned, Scott, about everybody having to play this in the same shirt, it's not unique for up in Scotland, because we have it in our local leagues as well. It's sort of like if you turn up without the shirt, you've either got to put your white waterproof jacket on to fall in line with everybody else.
But I mean,
as well,
yeah,
we've got a person who plays who refuses to wear a polo shirt, refuses. I'm not paying it, I won't. I don't want to kind of individual somebody out, like signify them, but it then affects everybody else, and this is at a low level, local level. So why do we need these sort of rules?
That's it. This isn't even he won't wear the same polo shirt. This is he won't wear a polo shirt in general. Like shirt and tie. So if he plays, then we'll have to wear shirt and tie, which everybody knows.
Shirt and tie. Oh my idiot!
Honestly, God, Richard, I'm not kidding on.
Next you'll be going back to blazers.
We still have blazers.
We still got blazers as well. This is the full incentive behind all this for us. It's if you're living back in the 60s, 70s, it's unbelievable.
But we have total respect for people that played bowls back in that generation, because that's who I grew up playing bowls with. That's who taught me loads of life lessons, loads of respect for the game. I mean, some fantastic bowlers were older people in my club who swore by shirt, tie, blazer, greys and whites, and I'll never ever take that away from them. But it's 2021. It's time to go. Let's get some colour in the sport.
Yes. And there'll be more from Scott and Kevin later in the show. Mate, the theme tune shows that the world of sport has lasted another week. Easy, easy, easy. Big Daddy, Chinese stacks, sad afternoons. What more can you ask for? So, mate, here's our subjects. I'll throw the rattle them at you. Grand National winner, Rachel Blackmore. Fantastic achievement, mate.
Yep, backed up our Cheltenham success, and yet again, magnificent thing for women's equality in sport, I would say. Great advert for that.
Yeah, and it just shows the highs and lows of the sport. You had Rachel Blackmore's triumph in the national, and then of course there was the sad news of a female jockey, Lorna Brooke, who sadly lost her life after a fatal fall at Taunton. So it shows it is a dangerous sport, and fair play to everybody who gets on the back of the horses.
It is, and I remember watching something, and they were showing how fast these horses actually travel. You don't even get an understanding of it, do you, when you're watching on TV?
Another talking point: European Super League, mate. Just greed. The rich get richer, the poor get poorer.
I think they've not half shot themselves in the foot with this one.
Have they not, mate?
How anybody could have sat there and thought we're going to get loads of people backing us for this and they're going to love this idea is just beyond me.
I had to laugh at UEFA. I mean, it was like a pot calling them kettle black. They're changing the Champions League for more games to get more money. They've now introduced, I don't know whether you're aware, but they've introduced a conference league, a UEFA conference league for third tier countries. So if you finish 15th in the Premier League, you'll get a place in this conference league.
I'm not going to mention any names for fear of obviously anybody potentially trying to sue us for bad mouthing TV companies, but they were playing the high and mighty and all, and no offense, but it's the TV companies that have potentially priced out a lot of, grassroots supporters out of the sport because, they're charging fortunes for just bang average games now. There's very little on terrestrial TV, so, they can shout and moan all they want and say how bad the Super League was, but maybe they want to have a little bit closer look at home. And I saw somebody's comment saying, I'm really over the moon that they've made themselves, put themselves out there to say how disappointed they were in it. I'm really looking forward to them reducing the prices so that all of these supporters can now watch football again, which is a valid point to make. So, yeah.
Another thing that's hit the headlines is the social media blackout by many top sports, mate. Will it make a difference? I don't think it will.
Make no difference.
Not a thing, mate. No.
Not whatsoever. At the end of the day, social media is just a complete hive for what we call the keyboard warriors. Yeah. People think they can go on there and just say it and do whatever they want with no consequences. Until they bring some harder policies in place to quash this, then no, what's for difference? Well, it's making a point, but it's just not a valid point in my...
For me, it's down to the internet service providers. They've got to track down the IP addresses, get them tracked down, prosecute them, name and shame them, get them that way. And there was one that I was going to throw in, but it was the Indian IPL. I just couldn't get my head around how was it morally right to be playing that in the way the country is in the COVID over in India.
The response that I saw was it was because cricket means so much to India. It's a poor excuse, and again it boils back down to money in my opinion.
And finally, I came across something called the Summer Redneck Games, mate, and there's some classic events, right? Toilet seat horseshoe tossing, watermelon seed spitting, and the one for me and you, mud pit belly flop.
Oh, champion. Gold medalist all day long on that one.
Let's see Sky cover that lot.
It's weird, you don't even know. Obviously, we're not going to know about things like that, but I was on Facebook a lot. I don't know whether I just watched one of the videos once, but I'm going to have to rack my brains now. Chucking a beanbag towards a hole. I'm going to have to wrap my brains of what it's called now.
Beanbag chucking.
No, well, that's effectively what it is. But the chucking a cornhole, it's something like that. Hey, I tell you, it's class. Unbelievable. They're standing about 10, 15 yards away, and they're like pinning this little hole at the end of this ramp thing. It's great. Great viewing. Loved it.
Right, well, that's our 5-minute honest roundup of the world of sport. And now we catch up with the Bournemouth Open tournament organiser, Tom Warner.
I'm joined by Tom Warner, and Tom has come along to talk to us about the Bournemouth Open. We've just been talking earlier on about it's great to be back to bowls, and better still for those people who love the competition. There's a fantastic competition down on the south coast. I was looking at the other day to think, would I pop down for a weekend just have a look at it? But the 5 hours and 56-minute journey was not very enticing. So unless you want to organise as a private plane, Tom, then I might struggle. But thanks for coming on, Tom.
No, thank you very much for having me.
Just taken over sort of running the competition, is that right?
Yes, yeah. So myself, Dan Steadman, who's another local bowler, I believe you might know him, and Mike Squires, who ran the tournament for sort of 10 years between 08 and 18. So we've brought him back into the fold after his early retirement. We've brought him back in.
Fantastic. Would I be right in thinking that it's always been a popular tournament in the past, but then did it maybe just lose a little bit of support and it's starting to come back to fruition again?
Yeah, it was certainly. I mean, if you load of people were entering it sort of late 90s, early 2000s. I think there's one particular year around 99, I believe, there was nearly 700 people in the singles event, for example, and it's all people all over the country. It's not just local, which is the main thing. We try and generate the local interest, but it's done it sort of done it for itself. And yeah, over the past few years, we had the centenary year in 2017. We had obviously a bumper number. There was a bigger prize pot, and I've been playing it now for 7-8 years, but it's just slowly dwindling down. And whether that's a reflection on outdoor bowls, possibly, who knows? But one of the things we've seen certainly in the last couple of years, entries were well down. And I think just given the year off we've had, the appetite for competitive bowling, I mean, you were talking about it earlier, is certainly there. And we've seen, we've only just really started the season. We've already got the 100 signed up for the singles, and 60 odd in the pairs, and then there's mixed pairs and triples as well. And so we're really happy with the number of people that we've got coming in.
Was a bit of a connection with regards to the prize pot that was available? Because just on reflection of some of the competitions that we see up in the north, we're probably still playing for the same money now as what we were paying 20 years ago. And 20 years ago, it maybe got you a lot more than what it did now. But obviously things have changed a lot. And, we say money's not, it's not everything. Mm-hmm. But what I think a lot of people are finding now is that they'd rather not come along to a competition if it's going to probably cost them more, unless they were to get to the latter stages. And even then, sometimes you're only just sort of breaking even unless you win the major prize pot. Do you think that had anything to do with it?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I certainly, we were fortunate in 2019 to win the triples, for example. And when you looked at, the winners, bear in mind you've played more or less 6 days of bowls every night, a full game, and then played the full final. And we came out with maybe making extra sort of 50 or 60 quid or something each. Well, bearing in mind all the petrol, the overnight stays, the meals, the beers, it all adds up. And before you know it, you're not doing it for the money, but at the same time, it's got to be generate the interest. The one bonus for us, numbers set in stone for the prize pot, is reflective of things like the open singles circuit and stuff like that have come in and sort of raised a bit of a bar, and right, okay, a singles 2-day event should be 1,000. Well, we've said, okay, well, that's fine. It's, you play 6-7 games. Well, on that basis, we've tried to keep the same sort of £1,000 for the winner. And that is in line with previous years for the Bournemouth tournament. And obviously centenary year was a bit of a bumpy year. I think it was about 1,500, I believe, for the winner in that year. But the other events that suffered in the past, we certainly heard a lot of hearsay and people saying, well, you win the singles, it's great, but actually winning the pairs or triples, just as much games, and it wasn't being reflected. So what we've tried to do this year is equalise a bit of things. So, you can win and walk away in the pairs with a very similar prize pot to winning the singles, but there's just 2 of you sort of thing. So hopefully that's a bit more of an incentive to get the calibre of players and interest in the tournament, really.
It is, because I still think the hunger's there, Tom. I think there's still a lot of people out there who love the competition, but I just think that frame of mind, because of the cost of diesel and petrol and digs and all, it ends up where maybe doesn't become as much of an enjoyment because you're walking and you're out of pocket, and maybe a lot more people are starting to think I'd rather do that with my family and put that into that. But just off the back of your own competition down in Bournemouth, Tom, which I need to just give a mention to our associate sponsor, because Lean to Succeed, I believe, support your event as well.
Yeah, they have, yeah.
Jackie is absolutely fantastic. But we've got a similar event which has seen a similar sort of thing up in the north, over in Cumbria, which is obviously we know as a real hive for bowling, and their race week, I remember going years back, it was a really busy event, and it was during Carlisle races were on, so anybody who didn't get through some rounds would go to the races, but there was singles, pairs, triples, fours, and I think a mixed on during the week, and that's steadily declined over the period of time. But we've certainly want to give a call out for that, because I think it's nice to get that major competition down in the south for people to be able to attend, and then you've got competition in the north. So we've promoted the Carlisle race week, and we'll certainly promote the Bournemouth on the page as well. I've got a question what the standard of your competition is down in Bournemouth, because I did say, sure, I saw Gavin Taylor won the singles, so the standard must be absolutely appalling. But if he is listening, or if Dean is listening, you know, as I'm only joking, that's a class act. But it's great to see. I say Ricky Gallagher comes down from Cumbria, seems to be a regular, and it's great that you're attracting, you know, players of that caliber, because they are, you know, the great players, the great competitors. So, you know, I really hope that people get behind it again and it continues to grow and get back. Whether you ever get back to the levels of 700s again is questionable, but, you know, you just never know. And the more you push and the more you can just continue to strive and improve.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, it would be lovely to get to the lofty heights of 700, but I think realistically, the only way we'll ever do that is with a much bigger cash incentive, if I'm honest. You know, the way that it's going is it does tend to, if you want to commit 5 days, you've got to take time off work. We have seen a lot of people that have signed up this year saying, I'll bring my family down for the week, which, you know, Bournemouth in the summer is a lot more to offer, which is a great plus for it. But if they're not willing to do that, there needs to be that cash boost to get that the level of entry. It's got to be realistic.
You know, from my point of view, I give a lot of credit to yourself and the rest of the team for obviously continuing to try and, you know, maintain that event, push it, promote it, and run it to the biggest thing, because I think a lot of people forget how stressful running a competition is. It's, you know, the quick.
Yeah, there's a lot behind the scenes, isn't there?
There's masses, and there's so much responsibility, especially when it comes to prize money as well. You've got to be completely whiter than white and basically make sure everything's where nobody can come back and say, you know, the draw's fixed. No, we know, because we've all been there. People will say, oh, I can't believe I've been drawn in this. It's a fix. So, you know, I take my hat off to people who put the time in and do this organisation. And I hope and, you know, that everybody who does take part appreciates that as well. Were you going to say something there, Richie? Sorry, did I interrupt you?
Yeah, I was just saying, I mean, 2019, I think you had 127 entries in the singles, 73 in the pairs. I mean, there's a lot of counties who don't get that number of entries in their county championships, Tom. Just looking at the list of previous winners, I mean, you've got Alcock, Davy Ward, Russell Morgan, the names reel off. So
and then Gavin Taylor.
Gavin Taylor. I mean, it's obviously has been a quality field, and you still do get quality players.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, yeah, you only have to look at the history of past winners, as you say. You can reel off people there, you know, internationals, national winners, etc. And that is great to see, and it is testament to the tournament. The good thing in previous years, we had a lot of local attraction as well. You know, there's nothing worse than playing a final with 3 people watching on a bench sort of thing, but actually having the local interest, you know, 100 people watching a singles event or a pairs or something just generates a bit of atmosphere, and hopefully we'll be in a position that we'll be able to do that come, you know, beginning of August. Touch wood. But
I'll bring Richie down. We'll have a bash in the pairs, and you can.
Is it handicap pairs?
Sorry, I thought it was mixed.
Mixed. It's a toss to see who puts the skirt on. Anyway, Tom, what's the actual dates for the tournament this year?
Yeah, so Sunday the 1st of August to Saturday the 7th, and the 1st of August is only going to be used if we've got a bumper number of entries. So we tend to play maybe a couple of triples game or something on that Sunday, but Monday the 2nd is the official start date if we have a sort of normal number of people.
Entry fee?
£15 for singles, £15 for the pairs, £20 for the triple, and £15 for the mixed pairs as well. All events are open. We used to have a men's and ladies. And just in recent years, with the number of entries, we've opened it up and to make sure there's catering for all.
Hope the tournament goes off with a bang and it continues to grow and get stronger and stronger. And thanks as always for volunteering and taking your time, Tom, with the other guys to make these things happen, because it's really important for the sport.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks very much, both.
No problem.
Cheers,
at all.
Tom. Thank you, mate.
Great to have you, mate.
Brilliant. Take it easy.
And now it's time for the final part of our chat with the lads from SK21.
It is. And on that basis, I've got absolutely no issue whatsoever of anybody who has got tradition and wants to wear a shirt and a tie. But that should not mean that dictates how you pick your team, because if he wants to play in that and the rest of the team want to play in their own team colours, does it make any difference? You're still representing the same club. You're still representing the same team. Most of all, you're on the green and you're supporting the sport that we're trying to grow and trying to progress. So that side of things, we're not playing for the crown jewels. It's like, let people just be comfortable in what they're comfortable to wear. And it's, we've got our own kit down in my club. We've just branded to the Pumas, we're called now, and we registered black trousers to wear with our black tops. But yet in our local league, we're not allowed to wear the black trousers. We've got to wear grey trousers. And it's like, you're getting lads who walk in and forget and think, oh, I've got me, and they're walking on eggshells because they're worried about wearing a pair of black trousers instead of grey. It's like,
I'll shop you.
Oh, you will and all. You will. You'll do out to get the points of force you would.
Put you in the paper.
But no, it's like I say, it's great what you're doing, and it was, like I say, that was why it was a good thing for us to have, because it is a big thing. People can disagree, but for me, the clothing has been one of the biggest things that has actually really helped this sport over the recent times. But I've worked with quite a few Crown Green clubs recently as well, and they're just as relaxed as anything. They walk on with a pair of jeans, and they're there to play balls. They're not there to walk down a fashion parade and show everybody what they're wearing. It's like the balls is the most important thing.
It's funny as well, because like some of the clubs up here as well will let you wear jeans, let you do, and then you'll go there and play, and then other clubs will go, you can't. So there's like mixed messages as well. Well, I don't know, it's weird how it'll work.
Stretching it a little bit here, but I've always said I wouldn't give a stuff whether I can see 70 people wearing mankinis playing balls on the green, as long as
it's got to be club colours, mind you. Got to be club colours.
Hey, it could be branded, Richie. I'm just giving the lads an idea. Here, branded.
You could have the badge on the pouch.
SK21 mankinis.
There you are. There's another line for you, lads.
Don't bother putting capital letters on Richie's though, because it doesn't.
Size brand will we go for there.
Just touching on the business, obviously you've started SK21. Where do you see yourselves going with this? Obviously you're making a mark now. Great, people down in the south of England are recognising the business up in Scotland, which is a fantastic thing for yourselves. Have you got any further ambitions working down the line? Because it's, speaking from past experience, not so much in the bespoke clothing area, but obviously in the retail side, it ain't easy. It's it's not an easy environment to be in, and more so because of those daft rules in place. I used to have women walking in, picking a really nice like bowls top up and then putting it straight back down because it had a bit of pink in it. Oh, I'm not allowed to wear that. So that has moved on. So I think it is a little bit better for you in this environment. Interesting to know where you see this going.
I think target audience is a big thing for us. I think just now, for where we live in the kind of central belt Glasgow area, Scotland, for me to buy anything bowls related, there's only one or two shops that I know of in Glasgow that will sell bowls clothing. Online, one company that I know of that's nearby that will sell it, and that's it. So for us, our target, I think, is you've got your social media, which again, we have to make sure that our audience is on that. If not, we also know a number of people in the sport who play the sport, and that can broaden our audience base, our target audience. But I also think a big thing for us will be, once the restrictions are lifted, once COVID's died down, is just go touring, just go travelling around about clubs. People don't see things until it's right in front of them. And I think that's where having a shop is good, which I would love to have a shop in the future. I would love it. But taking things to people, I mean, I love it when somebody comes to me with a plan rather than me have to go and find for something. Now we've got our t-shirts that are out. We've just ordered fleeces, quarter zip fleeces that we already have a lot of interest in. I love our towels. I think Bowls towels used to be very easy to get. When you went to the bar, you'd get a wee bar towel. Now, I wouldn't know where to go and buy a towel until we created our own brand and have our towels. I don't know where you guys find towels, but something so simple. I just want to have a business, a brand that it caters for all. And
have you got plans for a website? Online sales will be a big part, I think, of any retail business.
Yeah, we're currently speaking to a couple of website designers in regard to a website. It's also good when it comes to purchasing. You can have online purchases through the website as well. Social media is massive and will be massive going forward for any business. But we will have our own website launched, hopefully, by the end of this month. I'm positive. I'm looking forward to it.
Good.
Yeah, social media is absolutely massive for all clubs as well. Every single club should have some form of social media presence, and all of these new tops and different colours and different ages, diverse groups who are playing the sport. We should be plastering that all over social media on a daily basis, because that's, again, you're going to get the biggest audience you possibly can, and that is a surefire way to actually get people to think, I might have a pop up and try the sport as well. But have you thought about, are you going to specifically stick to bowls, or is there any thoughts on branching into any other sports?
We've bowls is obviously the main focus just now, but we've thought of, obviously, golf and bowls are quite similar in attire. So we've had actually a lot of people buying the bowling towels to use as golf towels, and we've had a couple of people buying the polo shirts as well to wear at golf. So two of them are interchangeable as well. So we've been looking at that in ways we can try and get the golf audience into it as well, obviously. Yeah, and then maybe down the line we can move into other branches of sports as well. But obviously we're trying to focus on the main our main project now is the balls.
Go back to your pricing. Is it £20 for the shirt?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of get bulled for £20 for the shirt these days.
No, our towels, as well as our balls towels as well, are obviously they're only £5 as well, not expensive in any way. We're trying to appeal to everybody, whether people have got loads of money, people have not got loads of money. We're trying to make it affordable for everybody.
Most importantly, the big question for me and Davey, do you do it in big man sizes?
we do need to just put an order there for big man size. I know you're probably looking at me and going, he's very, very small. There's no chance, but we have placed an order, mate, yeah.
You have to extend the colours for the number of extras on ours at the minute.
Obviously, Richie's talking about my shorts. He's not talking about my shirt. What are you trying to say, like? Yeah, you're right. You are right. Did you go through a bit of the process when you first started? Did you go through a process of looking at quite a few different types of materials and tops and things like that?
Yeah, aye. So there was a bit of time I had free due to holidays from work. It was kind of middle of February, I think, January, February, where COVID restrictions were still in place in Scotland. I was lying in my spare room floor, started researching different materials, learning about different types of fabric. I'll put my hands up, and before this I thought polyester was just one fabric, but there's multiple different fabrics of just polyester, different weights of material, different ways of colouring the material, where it's sublimation or dye or heat transfer. So there was a lot of research been done. I then got in touch with a supplier. I got a contact who I made sure they were a reputable supplier. They do a lot of other work for other sports brands, quite lucrative companies. So I think I got lucky with who I managed to find, if I'm being truthfully honest. Started speaking to them, I hit it off, had loads of conversations, meetings, discussions, samples, and it went for there. It was a bit risky, to be honest with you. As with anything with a new venture, you need to put a little bit out concerning, because until you see that finished product, you can't turn around and say, oh no, that's not what we want. So it was, but we kind of got lucky in this fact that when the tops arrived, they were spot on. Absolutely love them. So yeah,
we've had loads of good feedback from, as well. As I say, it's everybody that's bought one so far has come back and said it's great, lightweight, breathable, really comfortable to play balls in. A couple of guys that played golf saying it's really good when they're playing around a golf as well. So we've not had any complaints so far, so long may that continue.
Fantastic, great stuff. Definitely, it's great to have innovative people within the sport who recognise the need for it to drive into a new era, and obviously that hopefully you're going to be a big part of that, especially obviously in your own country, but hopefully branch out in the British Isles as well. Both the best of luck, and I'm sure we'll keep in touch, and we'll see a lot of you in the future as well.
Absolutely. What we would say to yourselves is we'll definitely stay in touch. Anyone that engages with yourself, listen to the podcast. Any ideas for the bowling community, get in touch, speak to us. We'll happily look at what we can do. Anything that you think isn't being marketed, we'll certainly look at that as well. But yeah, it's a community, and that's what we want to keep this kind of business as a community of bowlers, and keep it in. I love bowls. Bowls is great. It's what I do daily and think about daily. It's quite sad, but I absolutely love it.
No, that's great.
One final question for you. This will cause a fight, this one, Davey. Right, SK21. Now, was there a fight? Was it going to be KS21 or SK21?
He's much bigger than me, so it's all right.
I'm an
Did you pull rank on him? Tremendous. Mind you, it took me 10 minutes to cut on. Hi, Scott and Kevin.
There's loads of people ask what it is as well.
That's great, lads.
Oh, that's class. But thanks so much for coming on, lads. It's been great to have the chat. Yeah, I hope SK21 goes from strength to strength.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having it on.
Not a problem at all.
Yes.
Cheers, lads.
And it's competition time, and thanks as always to our current sponsors, Balls is Balls and Link to Succeed. And the question for this week's competition is, we've just had Kevin and Scott as our guests, and all we need to know is what is the name of their new clothing business that they have set up in Scotland for bespoke bowling clothing. If you can just drop us a message on Facebook, drop us an email on wrong.bias@hotmail.com, or you can just drop us a comment on either Twitter or Facebook. Best of luck, everyone.
And here's a few bloopers from the show.
And on today's show, we've got Kevin Scott from SK21. They've got a new bespoke bowls
Did you say Kevin Scott or Kevin and Scott?
Kev and Scott, I said, didn't I?
No, you didn't. You said Kevin Scott.
I've got Kev and Scott written on my thing, so I've just said Kevin Scott.
Kevin Scott. Can I get that in the bloopers? Do I need to edit?
Christ. Right, I'm going to say Kevin this time. And it's competition time, and thanks as always to our current sponsors, Balls is Balls, and I've done it again. I've completely had a mind blank. Start again.
Right, mate, that theme tune is The World of Sport. Easy, easy, easy. Big Daddy on a Saturday afternoon in giant haystacks. After that great build-up, I forget me, lost me freaking line of thought. Easy, easy, easy. Whoa.
Loser.
Tosser. Right, hold on. Start again. That'll get in the Christmas one. Right, mate. Oh, God.
Right, that's it, folks. Catch us later.
That's it. 5 minutes. 5 minute World of Sport's gone.
I cannot work with these amateurs anymore.
That's it, I'm aware. Right. Right, there you go, mate.
I can't believe you didn't chuck a snooker question in there.
Right, Tom's there. Right, another one under the... Oh, poof. God, right, here we go. Right, I'm firing blanks again. Right, right, here we go. And another one done and dusted, mate. Show 31. A cracking little chat there with Scott and Kev. We wish them both well in their venture. It was nice to catch up with Tom Warman about the Bournemouth Open as well, mate.
Yeah, it's great. And you know, the thing for us, it's really nice now to see things starting to move in the sport. So, you know, you've got your Bournemouth Open down south, and you've got your Carlisle Race Week that's been promoted on the page. Yeah, it's great to see competition balls coming back and people starting to, you know, pack the greens again, which we're seeing on a regular basis daily now.
Yeah. One story that caught my eye: transgender policy in bowls. Now, I read it, and there's a woman down in Hampshire who has been unable to play for a bowls club because apparently she is required to have a gender recognition certificate according to the current Bowls England rules. Now, comparing bowls with rugby for a minute, the World Rugby has banned transgender women from competing at the highest level of the women's game. World Athletics allow trans female athletes to compete at the elite level if their testosterone is sufficiently reduced. I know Bowls England are looking to update their, and I quote, historical and outdated guidance.
The most important thing in the world that we live in now is that it's been looked at and it's been dealt with, because it is a major part of life now, and it's important to make sure that that's right within the sport. So I think the positive thing we've got to look at is that it is being addressed and it's being looked at, and hopefully there will be a suitable resolution as from the governing bodies to make sure that they align with what they believe the transgender policy should be within the sport. One
other thing that had caught my eye, there was a BBC News item on their website about the local elections. And the headline is, let's find out what the elderly think towards these elections. And where do you think they went to ask these people?
They must have gone to either a football match or a rugby match, one of those.
You're right, mate. They went to a local Scottish bowls club with elderly people, and that really got my goat going. It did. I mean, the headline, elderly people's thought. Why? We've said it before about the media putting the stigma of an old man's game. You know, I've said it before, we'll never get rid of it. I don't care what people say. We'll never we might move along a bit, but we'll never get rid of it.
We won't, man. And I'm sort of at the point of my thoughts on this now. Is you're exactly right. We probably won't get away with it with regards to the media side of things, because from their point of view, they will just put two and and two together and get four and just think, where can we go where there is going to be a group of elderly people? It's either going to be a community centre or a bowls. Because I suppose when you think about it, sport has got a higher demographic. It will always have a higher demographic. It needs to have the higher demographic. And I think it's one of the really, plus points about our sport, that you can play till, a very later age. And I think we've possibly just got to the point now where it's pointless banging the drum and having a go at them anymore. We've just got to make sure that everything we do in-house on a commercial and on a, promotion and awareness basis has got to come from within the sport, because that's the only way it'll ever change. The media ain't going to change that for us, because they've made it blatantly obvious everything they do is sort of back up people's perception. And that's downside is that people will just associate, but then it's also, like I say, it's a positive thing for the sport as well that we do have that age demographic in there. So.
Well, that wraps it, mate. That's another one gone, 31. Me and you, we're off to watch the Tour Wrestling Championships. I bet you didn't know that existed, mate, did you?
Well, to be honest with you, I was just on my way to watch the melon spitting competition, but now that you've said that, I think I've got to change it out.
I would have to do pairs, mate. Me and you in the melon spitting pairs competition. As long as you don't have to catch the other one spit. No, too far. Step too far, mate. Anyway, folks, we hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll catch you again soon.
See you later, all. Take care. Enjoy the season. Thank you for listening, and hope you've enjoyed the show.
This has been a Dodgy production.